At least 45 people were shot, 4 of them killed, including the Chicago police officer since last night. And according to the Chicago Sun-Times, so far this month, 155 people have been shot in gun violence across the city. And I want to start with Gianno in this, but I want to just kind of clarify for context very quickly. You talk about the Sun-Times article. That article was posted at 6:11 this morning. So from 7 o'clock last night until 6:11 this morning, 11 hours and 11 minutes, 45 people were shot. That's more than 4 people per hour. And if anybody doesn't think that Chicago, the South Side, the West Side are war zones at this point in time, they need to look at the numbers again. You're from Gianno, and I know this is very personal to you.
Yeah, it is. And it's really unfortunate that it is a war zone, Chicago. And I recently had a situation. My younger sister called me last week. I was in Italy. And she told me that the night before, she was leaving the grocery store when 2 people, a man and a woman, walked up to her and attacked her. It was unprovoked. She had her 3-month-old son with her, my nephew. They beat her down to the ground, kicked her in the face, kicked her in her stomach, and then pulled a gun out on her and told her that they would kill her and her son. These are issues that many individuals across the city, whether you be on the south sides or west sides where it has historically happened, the violence, or whether you be downtown on the Gold Coast or even in Lincoln Park where there's usually a younger white group of folks, college students live. There's been mass shootings in those areas which we had never seen before. Who's to blame? The mayor of Chicago, the Cook County prosecutor especially. The Cook County prosecutor, Kim Foxx, has released 25,000 felony cases, including murder cases. There was an analysis by the Sun-Times also that showed in the last 6 years, over 1,000 shootings, almost 150 people who died from those shootings. 2 convictions out of over 1,000 people. This is not an American city. The leadership needs to be kicked out, and the residents of Chicago have to start telling on the people who are committing the crimes. Snitching needs to be the new season in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, our hearts go out to you and your family. That story, heart-rending details.
She's okay.
John.
Thank God she's okay now.
Yeah,
thank you.
That is good news. But you bring up great numbers, and you talk about murderers being released. I mean, they're running out of ankle bracelets. They're releasing murder suspects in Chicago and running out of ankle bracelets. So in some cases, you have murder suspects just wandering around with no checks, with no observation at all. And Abby, you listen to the police officers who are under fire and the people in these neighborhoods under fire. I want to play this soundbite from the Reverend Eugene Rivers on the problem of the violence and then get your response.
Black on black violence is a problem. You can't say that you're for, say, Black Lives Matters, which is ridiculous, and then refuse to confront the fact that black people are killing black people. Then you want to defund the police. That's absurd. It's irresponsible. And any politician that suggests that should be defunded.
We often wonder, Abby, that why on a day like this, when you had 45 shootings and you had 2 police officers shot, why are there not rallies? Why are there not marches through the streets of these cities by Black Lives Matter and others who are concerned?
Absolutely. And the only thing that we did see was all of the police officers showing up for that fallen officer and the one who's fighting for his life right now. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to them. But the Reverend brings up a really good point. Why are you still trying to defund the police? Why, Cori Bush, are you saying these things that you said last week? We talked about it all last week. But here's my thoughts, is that when you push that sort of rhetoric, it's not just dangerous because of what the obvious implications of what defund the police means. It's dangerous because you're making these police officers feel like they just have no support every time they put on that uniform and leave their families behind. The ones who are still going to work, like the woman who just died, and she left behind a 2-month-old baby. She just came back from maternity leave, and she put her life on the line for others. Ella French, you can take she was just back from maternity leave, rather. I'm hearing now that we don't know if she was back from maternity leave, but she did leave behind a 2-month-old baby. And again, to me, I try to relate it if you're just a normal human being and you're going into an operating table and you're asking the surgeon to save your life and you turn to him or her and say, hey, I want to defund you. I don't really support what you're doing, but actually, can you still save my life? That's what's happening with these police officers. They're, again, going out with little to no support, and it's a rhetoric that needs to change.
You talked about Cori Bush,
That's
and
true.
what she said last night was about, paying for security because she pays for it, because she says her life has been threatened, and yet she still wants to defund the police. It is a soundbite that is worth playing again, so here it is. And then, Lisa, you can get response on the backside.
I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. When we're talking about every single year increasing the budget for police and then the budget for like health and human services continuing to shrink, and St. Louis being #1 for police violence year after year after year, #1, #2 for homicides year and year after year. So when we're adding more money to the police, but we're still dying. So something has to change.
Just for clarity, Lisa, she said it on Wednesday and then doubled down this morning.
Yeah, and Trace, she talks about the attempts on her life. What about the attempts on the lives of the people living in Chicago? The majority of the shooting victims are black there. What about their lives? Do their lives matter to Cori Bush and Democrats like her who believe in defunding the police? And Ella French was 29 years old, her entire life ahead of her. There's another police officer fighting for his life right now, but people like Cori Bush don't care. Lori Lightfoot does not care. Joe Biden does not care. Kamala Harris does not care, because you know why? They have made police officers the targets in America. They have glorified criminals while making cops the bad guys. Jacob Blake, Kamala Harris said she was proud of him. A man who sexually assaulted a woman, showed up at her house again, pulled a knife on police officers, but she's proud of him. Is that someone that we should be proud of as a society? Cities like New York putting up statues of George Floyd, a man who, along with his friends, robbed a house and put a gun to a woman's stomach. Is that someone we should be lionizing as a society? Do you start to see the problem of why we have criminals acting with impunity and police officers who are being gunned down in our streets? We need to rethink this thought process, and Democrats are to blame, particularly the ones who have called for defunding the police in America.
What do you think, Gianno? Last thoughts on this. Is it that they don't care, or is it that they don't know what to do? I mean, this has been a problem that's been underway for a long time in Chicago. What are your final thoughts on this?
Well, my final thoughts are this city has become a complete war zone for so many of the citizens there. You should be more tough on crime instead of lenient. So why would you drop 25,000 felony cases, including murders, Kim Foxx, if you really cared? That's a really principal point that Lisa made there. And I don't believe that they really care in the way that they should to change the dynamics for many of the residents that are in the city of Chicago.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.